Hello, this is Dr. Dennis Bielfeldt of the Christ School of Theology. It's good to be with you. You're watching a lecture on Occam. Yes, we're on Occam now. And last time I drew a distinction between primary and secondary signification. A word primarily signifies what it is truly predicated of. So the word brave would primarily signify a brave man. But secondarily signifies when a term does not signify what it is truly predicated of. So brave can signify the bravery of a man, but it does not primarily signify the bravery of a man, because brave is not predicated of bravery. Brave is predicated of the man or woman, right? So as I promised last time, I left a teaser. I wanted to connect now secondary signification with connotation theory. And I knew that you would all be back to hear about that. So a term secondarily signifies, like I said, that which it does not primarily signify, like bravery. And when a term is secondarily signifying, most often, Occam talks about this as a connotative term. A connotative term connotes what it secondarily signifies. So brave is connoting bravery, secondarily signifying bravery, but primarily signifying the bearer of bravery. Okay. Connotation seems to be secondary signification, although that becomes a bit complicated, and that's probably just a bit overdone. But anyway. Supposition, we talked about signification and supposition, and a lecture or two ago, you'll not forget that we distinguished three senses of supposition, right? We distinguished the material, when a word supposits for a word or phrase or concept. The simple, when a word supposits for a nature. So simple supposition would be a bit like brave signifying bravery, secondarily signifying bravery. Personal supposition is when a term actually supposits for an individual. Here the term is suppositing for a nature, referring to. So when you think of supposition, think of denoting or referring. Personal supposition, then, is where all the action happens, and we talked a bit about this last time when we talked about merely confused versus confused and discrete and determinative and all of this. Personal supposition distinguishes between a descent to the singulars. How do I get from all x's are p? How do we get to particular x's? A descent to the particulars or singulars, and an ascent from the singulars. So a descent to the singular, supposition theory, and ascent out of them. That's what supposition theory was supposed to deal with. So confused and distributed supposition goes from every dog is a mammal to Fido. Fido is a mammal, right? Rover is a mammal. Girl, I have a dog named Girl. It's female. Girl is a mammal for all dogs. Now it cannot go from Fido is a mammal to all dogs are mammals. So the way of ascent is blocked, there is a way of descent. This is how theorists thought about this, and this is how Occam thought about this. While spoken and written language, now back to mental language, which we talked about, while spoken and written language are both conventional, mental language constitutes natural signs of things. Concepts are supposed to somehow be naturally similar to their objects. They signify. Two simple terms are synonymous for Occam if they are subordinated to the same mental concept. So if I have the same mental concept, let's say I'm just making this up. 2 simple terms. Synonymous. We might say that a bachelor is an unmarried male. Okay, so unmarried male is synonymous with bachelor. Unmarried grown male. Okay, bachelor is an unmarried grown male. So they're synonymous. For Occam, they are subordinated to the same mental concept. There's one concept that the terms bachelor here, and unmarried male there, they are related to the same term in the mental language. They signify the same mental term, and that is why they're synonymous. Okay. Now the question arises, can there be synonymy in the mental language itself? Does the mental language allow for synonymy? And if it did, by virtue of what would it do so? You can see how nicely it works for the spoken language, the mental language. Well, this is actually a area of research in Occam's studies, I guess. And so we won't go down there too deeply. However, it seems like he seems at times to want to allow synonymy in the mental language. Occam claims that all connotative terms have nominal definition and all absolute terms have real definition. The nominal definition is a definition that basically unpacks the meaning of the term. A real definition is a definition that gives the ontological correlate to that. So if I say that man is a rational animal, and I use a nominal definition, I'm just saying man just means rational animal. Right? There's a man if and only if there's a rational animal. However, if I say that the ontological structure of man is rational animality, then I'm giving a real definition. This all goes back to Aristotle. So real definitions seem to track the metaphysical structure of things, but nominal definitions do not. Occam claims that all connotative terms have nominal definition. That would make sense, huh? That's what we mean by those terms. And all absolute terms have real definition. Because there we're not talking about meaning. We're not talking about connotation. We're going right after reality. It seems, however, for Occam that simple connotative terms are not always shorthand abbreviations of nominal definitions. So this becomes complicated, as many things in Occam do. My favorite work on Occam is by Marilyn McCord Adams. You should read the books, 2 volumes on Occam, a tour de force. Metaphysics. Occam holds that universals are not only not needed, the whole concept of a universal is incoherent. However, he does allow for universal concepts in the mental language and any universal term subordinate to them. He does not believe in the real existence of universals. He arrives with a view that a universal concept is just the act of thinking about several objects at once. What is it to have a universal concept? Think about all these objects at once. This act is a singular quality of a particular mind. The concept is universal only in being the mental sign of several things simultaneously. And this gets us now to one final point to make about his metaphysics. I'm going very quickly through William of Occam. He tends to be a reductionist. Occam holds that we can give an analysis, a reductive analysis of all the categories of Aristotle. Remember, we had 10. But we can get rid of all of them except for substance, quality, and sometimes a relative, which is kind of like a quality. Terms, he says, whether absolute or connotative, signify nothing but singular substances and qualities. So I would signify bravery and Pete, but I'm not signifying some universal bravery that's just happening to show up in Pete. Terms, whether absolute or connotative, signify nothing but singular substances and qualities, plus some relatives, and these show up more in theological context. I'll be right back talking about William of Occam's theology. This is Dr. Dennis Bielfeldt of the Christ School of Theology. Thanks for joining us.